Hello guys, I'm here once again to record a civilization guide. This time we'll be going to talk about one of the coolest civilizations in this game and also one of the most unique. We are going to talk about the Huns. Huns were introduced in the game in the year of 2000 together with the Conquerors expansion. So it's a civilization that is known for the meta for a long time, and it honestly truly dominated the games on MS Zone, X Zones, and most of the early Vubli times. So we had more than 10 to 15 years of Huns dominance on the meta, be considered one of the strongest civilizations. And honestly, I think that it can still be very strong. So let's go and start by analyzing its tech tree. The Huns tech tree. They are defined here as a cavalry civilization, and I think that they should also be defined as a nomad civilization. And also the reason for that is because they do not need houses, but start with less 100 wood. What this means in practice, you are never going to get wood in order to make a house. You are never going to waste your villager time building houses. There will be no limit to your population. If an enemy is harassing your town, there's like no chance of you losing a castle or losing a house, and because of that, having no population space. So this helps a lot for your unit, for you to float units as the Huns. The second bonus that we're going to talk about is has also some relation to it. That is regarding the cost of their cavalry archers. They cost less 10% on castle and less 15% on imperial age. This bonus was, if I remember correctly, a bit more aggressive, but still very good one. You only pay 60 gold for a regular Cav Archer, even less for a Huns one. Not gonna see how much, but yeah, it's cheaper. Whenever you have a civilization that grants you this cheaper bonus, what you can assume from that is your Cav Archers might not have all the upgrades to compensate their cheapness, so you have to win by massing. You have to win by having more numbers. If you are going to use Cav Archers, you might have civilizations with better Cav Archers on the later stages of the game, such as the Tartars, such as the Magyars, the Turks with the Sipahi upgrade and their extra hit points. Civilizations might just have all the upgrades for the defense of the Cav Archers, such as the Saracen, the Japanese. So the idea of the Huns Cav Archers is to win by having more Cav Archers, is to win on the numbers, okay? So take this into consideration whenever you are using the Civ. You want to have more numbers. Your trebuchets have 30% more accuracy. Is this useful? Very situational in some treb wars and so on. It's a small help, not a huge bonus. Your unique unit is the Tarkan, a high pierce armor cavalry that has bonus against building. So mostly you are going to use Tarkan in some very situational holes like fighting a lot of archers and trying to raid to take down buildings. But since the runs, the paladins, the skirmishers, the russers, all those units can already deal with most of the archer civs. It's not like you need these units to deal with that. So very situational, but we are going to talk about it later. Their unique techs are Marauders, technology on the castle that allows you to create archons at stables. So let's take a look here on the castle. This is Marauder, 300 wood and 300 gold, and it allows you to make your unique unit on the stables. Pretty similar to the Goth technology of Anarchy. But here it allows you to, for example, drop like 2 stables on the corner of the map and make like 3 or 4 Tarkans on each one and just clean that corner of town centers, lumber camps, and whatever your enemy has. So it's very good upgrade since you do not need to make castles to use the Tarkans. Like you only need one castle to upgrade them, and then you do not need to keep making castles, which is honestly one of the biggest investments you have to do for unique units apart from the upgrade. And the second upgrade is honestly not seen at all on the competitive scenario, but if you like to play those games with your friends that allows you to make wonders or victory for relics, or if you play in mode in the standard victory mode, not the conquest one, which means that you can win by wonders, relics, and so on. This is so great because this just allows your if your enemy took all the relics and you research this technology, you just increase the time that you have to react in 100 years. Same for wonder victories. So you can just buy yourself more time literally with this upgrade in this kind of games, okay? And their team bonus, which also applies for the civilization. So all team bonus also apply as an individual bonus for the civilization, is that stables work 20% faster. So you do not need to make houses, your Cav Archers are cheaper, and your stables work faster. All those three bonus combined makes the Huns one of the best civilizations to spend units and win by numbers. On the deathmatch mode, Huns are one of the civs that can reach the highest number of army early on very fast. I'm not gonna say that it's the faster because the gods might just be a bit more fast, but they can just mass like Paladins and Cav Archers, which are quite amazing in a very fast speed thanks to the combination of all those bonus, and since you do not need to make houses. Anyway, let's go, now that we analyzed what makes the civilization unique, let's talk a bit about the rest of the tech tree. Starting here from the barracks and its variations, regarding the ranged units. You have Bracer as the civilization. I'm gonna actually start here for the blacksmith, guys. You lack 2 upgrades on the blacksmith. You do not have the ring archer armor, which is the last armor for your skirmishers, archers, and cav archers, and you also lack the plate mail armor, which is the last armor for your infantry. This means that your cav archers will never have their full potential, neither are any of your other ranged units. Same applies for your infantry, but your cavalry has all the upgrades. So if you have to focus on a power unit, go for the paladin because you are going to have all the upgrades. If you need strength, go for strength in numbers. If you still need more strength, go for paladins, and in high numbers, of course. Now that we know about that, let's go back to the archer range. On the Castle Age, you have 0 problems. You have access to the cheap Cav Archers and the Thumb Ring, so the archer range on the Feudal and on the Castle Age has like 0 problems. On the Feudal Age, your archer range is just as regular as any other Civ's archer range, so the only thing that might help you with those guys is the lack of the need for making houses, so this will help you. But on Castle Age, the combination of cheap Cav Archers, all the upgrades, and the Thumb Ring being available makes your archer ranges one of the best units for you. You have also the Brave Cav Archer and the Partisan Tactics, which means that you pretty much can use your Brave Cav Archers to counter halberdiers, okay? So abuse of the Cav Archers. You can play with archers because you have the crossbowmen upgrade later, but playing with crossbowmen during the Castle Age is not a good idea. My suggestion is if you play it with crossbowmen on the early Castle Age, make a transition to either Cav Archers or skirmishers later on because you won't be able to keep upgrading your crossbowmen once you are on Imperial Age. And you also have no hand cannoneer. So if you have to deal with infantry, you are going to be forced to do so by using the Brave Cav Archer and other melee units such as the Paladin or the Rooster. As for the barracks, they are one of the few civilizations that have no champion. They only go until two-handed swordsman, and they have the halberdier. So in infantry war, you might not have all the upgrades for the halves, but they're still useful. As for the champion line, no supplies and no upgrade makes this a bad choice, so you are hardly going to use the two-handed swordsman or the men-at-arms line. You might open with men-at-arms on Feudal, you might do a few long swordsmen to help countering full Aztec Eagle spam, for example, but that's not something that you want in your composition, especially on the later stages of the game. You have squires and arson, but as I said, you have no supplies. As for the stable, well, you have both scouts and knights, so no camels, no elephants, no steppe lancers, you only have those two, but you have all the upgrades and this stable, guys, works 20% faster. So on Feudal Age, you pretty much can win against any other civ by going for scouts and outmassing the enemy. By the time the enemy has something like 4 scouts, you have, or sorry, 6 scouts, 5 scouts, whatever, you have potential to have like one more, and this will keep escalating. So let's say you started to fight against an enemy who's playing with the Berbers. You both just started to make scouts. If you just want to keep trading scouts with him, eventually you are going to either outmass him or be able to replace faster. So this is great technology. Also for the Castle Age, if you bank up a lot of resources and go for like 3 stables, all-in knights, you can pretty much mass knights as faster. Uh, you might be one of the fastest civilizations to mass knights. Even one of the build orders that I'm going to talk about later will include this. So if you're playing a team game, you are usually going to try to use the whole of a cavalry civilization. Already use a lot of scouts on feudal, or just use a few and go for a lot of knights. Your span ability is where you should focus. 20% faster stables is nothing to joke with. So this will just allow you to have more army on the field. Abuse of this bonus, remember you have all the upgrades for Paladins. Play simple, keep it simple. Play with a core unit. Either go for the Cav Archers or the Knights and fully focus on spamming those units. Quite simple, but that's just like it. About your Siege Workshop. Well, you have the Siege Run, which is very helpful, is honestly one of the best siege weapons for you to have, but you have no mangonels or scorpion upgrade. So to deal with infantry, you have to deal with army and no siege. To deal with massed ranged units, mangonels are a no-go. They are going to be outranged by arbalest and by all other ranged units on the Imperial Age. So you can abuse of these sieges on the Castle Age, especially mangonel and runs and even scorpions in some situations. But once in Imperial Age, you only want to work with trebuchets and siege run. Okay, so forget about the others. The blacksmith we already talked about, full upgrade for the cavalry, bracer, which makes your Cav Archers to have the extra attack and range, but you lack the armor for both infantry and for the Cav Archers. As a naval civilization, Huns are really good because of the know-hows bonus, which allows them to spend always working with the numbers, a lot of galleys in the beginning, so you are one of the civs that can be close to the Viking within the potential to spend galleys in the feudal age, which can make you very dominant. You have access to the fire galley and the fire ship, you have access to the war galley. On the Imperial Age though, you have no fast fire ship, so you have to play with full galleon, and if your enemy goes heavily into fast fire, you might even want to upgrade the heavy demolition ship to help. You have carrying and dry dock, so all the other upgrades, but you do not have shipwright, which makes your boats a lot faster to create and also cheaper. So you want to spend and abuse of the feudal, the castle, and the early Imperial Age as the Huns to finish the game. In a very long game, if you have not brought the advantage, you might have some trouble. Going now for university, you have masonry, so you can upgrade your buildings armor a bit, and there also their hit points, ballistics, which is a must upgrade, murder rolls, very situational, and chemistry. They have one of the weakest university here, guys, as you can see, but still, you have ballistics and chemistry. It's easy to know what you have to do here. If you go for ranged units, go for the ballistics. If you go for the ranged units on the Imperial Age, go for the chemistry. If you are not going for neither of those, you might not even want to make any of the upgrades. Maybe masonry. Okay, so university, not a must for the Huns if you're playing as cavalry, a must for the Huns if you're playing with ranged units because of ballistics. They have only watchtower, they do have stone wall but no fortified walls, So the lack of houses and fortified walls make the Huns a bad civilization regarding the defense. How do you defend using the Huns? You can still make the stone walls, which are hard to break by army only and can buy you some more time. But what you want to do is to mass army and keep on the offense. You want to be as aggressive as possible. Huns were not designed to be a defensive civilization. You can have a more defensive approach sometimes, you can. But as the Huns, you want to be the aggressor, you want to be attacking your enemy. Tarkans, the civilization to go for the raidings, avoid fight against other army and go for the buildings. Just like that. Oh, but when I'm going to fight? Ideally, never. If you can choose when, never. You are just going to harass all your enemy buildings until he has like no more buildings and only units. That's when you want to fight in an ideal world. So that's the concept of using those Tarkans and ratings. But since they have a very high armor, 4 pierce armor, and they are way cheaper to upgrade than a Paladin, they can sometimes be very useful against ranged units. So let's say you're fighting against a main plumed archer player. Tarkans might be a good thing to go. You can not only get down his castles, but also hold a lot of arrow fire. But remember, they are not as good as any other cavalry on the fighting. So do not expect them to be as strong as a paladin or as a cavalier, to be honest. So keep that in mind. Regarding their they have conscription as all civs, no hoarding, so the only way of upgrading your buildings is using the architecture. Regarding their monastery, they have no redemption, so you cannot convert enemy siege, but in some situations you can even convert enemy monks. I'm going to be very honest. The upgrade that I have used the most as the Huns from the monastery was the heresy, which allows your units to die instantly. If I'm playing against a player rushing a lot of monks, let's say I'm playing against a Saracen going full monks on arena, I might just want to play with Cav Archers and light Cavs, and if I fear that the enemy might convert like 1/3 of my army with his monks before I can get to him, I might just upgrade heresy not to give those units to him. Apart from that, you can just make your monks a bit faster with fervor, a bit stronger with sensitivity, and in some situations you can go for faith and atonement and illumination. Since you have no block printing and no redemption, they are not a great monk civ. I would like to suggest you to use monks to get relics, real army, and nothing else. Do not make a strategy based on monks. Huns were not made for it. Use them to get relics, heal your knights, your army, nothing else. Sometimes counter enemy knights and camels or elephants, but only as a counter and only as a very situational unit. Going now for the eco. The Huns do not have the crop rotation, but they do have all the wood upgrades, all the gold upgrade, so you can make a very good economy to spend your Cav Archers. Regarding the Imperial Age, you might not have the great farms, but Heavy Blow farms are pretty much okay. You're not gonna lack this. You have the guilds, which means that you can trade resources in your market to keep making siege and gold army like forever in a 1v1 scenario, and you only lack the crop rotation, which is the last farm upgrade, and the stone shaft mining, which is the second stone upgrade. Do you need to collect a lot of stone as the Huns? You don't. So, no problem. That's basically it, guys, for the tech tree of the Huns. Alright guys, let's talk now about army composition. So I will be talking about the army composition that I think that it's the ideal one for both Feudal Age and Castle Age. So on Feudal Age, I think that you can play with full scouts, so you can go for something as simple as like going for 4 scouts, or even investing heavily and having a huge number of scouts. That's a valid option, especially in open maps. If you like to raid and if you have a good control over the scouts, use your aggressiveness and these units to rule your enemy. Second option for you, scout and archers. combine the early scouts with an archer transition that might allow you to go for Cav Archers later on, and also be able to counter any kind of feudal army composition. Your enemy go for full army, for full archers or full skirmishers. Skirmishers can be countered by those guys, spearmen by those guys. If he goes for full scouts, you just pick good fights, stay defensively, and use this army. So a very solid composition, scouts and archers. Another one, I like this one against archer civilizations such as Britons and Ethiopians, is to play with scouts and later skirmishers. So I'm just showing here 3 openings that you can find guides on the basic build orders here. So those 3 army compositions are quite okay if we're going to play for a longer feudal age game. You can also use openings with militias or men-at-arms and later switch into ranges, but I truly myself like to play with scouts when I'm playing as the Huns. Going for the castle age, some of your options is go for full knights. They might work, you are just going to spend them on their stables, and especially in Arabia when you are pocket or even in some 1v1s, can be a solid strategy. So let's always think here, guys, on the castle age with a core unit. We have like 2 core units as Huns, Knights and Cav Archers. So all the army compositions here will be based on those core units. So first composition, full Knights. Second, Knights and Cav Archers, very gold intensive, but you have mobility, you have strength, you can pretty much kill most of the enemy units here. This is especially good to be aggressive, control the map, and have an army that can kill both ranged units, infantry, and whatever. So that's something that I like to use, especially if I want to go for an all-in strat on Castle Age. Let's say I want to kill a Goth on Castle. I do not want to let this Goth player boom and spend Halberdiers and Hurscals later on. Go for Knights and Cav Archers, okay? Knights and Skirmishers, well, same logic applies from when you are fighting against Archer Civs. I would like to use this composition a lot when I'm facing an enemy who's playing with some Archer civilization. Let's take the Ethiopians as an example here. Another composition, not so used, a full melee composition, Scouts and Pikemen. Why would you want to go for Pikemen, Stark? Let's say that you are fighting against an Indian player and he just realized that with the camels he can run after both Cav Archers and Knights. So the Indian might try to kill you by going for something like full camels. So going for Knights and Pikemen pretty much allows you to still try to raid him with the Knights, you still hold some of his shots there, and use the Pikemen to shred his camels as a very effective unit to do it. So against civilizations that try to go for full camels or camels and Knights, Pikeman addition is always an option. Go for Knights and Siege. Often you can do this approach, you just go for a few Knights and then you add Siege. I like to do this to push my enemy and to force some fights, especially when he's truly confident on his Archer micro. That's another answer for you. It requires you to be a bit more aggressive if possible, to force your enemy to go and try to micro against your siege. So very similar to the Night Skirmishers with less mobility but more potential to take down buildings. Now let's go for the second core unit, the Cav Archers. So one option that I give you is to go for full Cav Archers. I think that you can do this in some team games and also in 1v1 as a valid strategy. So focus only on making Cav Archers. That is an army composition. Try to combine your Cav Archers with Siege. Let's say you went for a Drush fast castle, made a few Cav Archers, and your opponent is just trying to tower himself, like making a lot of towers, or just trying to mass the skirmishers from 3 ranges. Going for mangonels to pressure him while still having the mobility from the Cav Archers is a good idea. Another composition here is skirmishers and Cav Archers. I like this one, especially for mirrored matches against other Huns players going for full Cav Archers. So you can counter a guy going for full Cav Archers, going for Cav Archers and skirmishers. You can counter an enemy trying to mass a lot of ranged units. Instead of fighting him with only siege and Cav Archers, he might have a good army control or some extra range, like the Breton. So skirmishers and Cav Archers, or maybe skirmishers and knights can be a good option against this kind of civs as well. Skirmishers, Cav Archers and pikemen, same case here as before. Especially against stable units such as someone try to mass a lot of camels or elephants or any stable unit, you can just combine the Cav Archers with the pikemen, and this is a good army composition. Light cavalry and Cav Archers, I like this composition as well. It works, it's a valid one. You have a lot of speed, especially from the Cav Archers. It's good to fight against monk compositions. It's good to fight against siege and pikeman composition. If you have an open map, you can just get, for example, your light cavs to go and attack the enemy siege, flank the enemy siege here, while the Cav Archers do the job of killing the infantry. So that's a very good composition for raiding. For 1v1s it's good. For playing against static opponents, you can abuse of their mobility. And basically we're just using an upgraded trash unit, so it's not so costly to keep this composition going on. Another composition is the same as before. You might start with Cav Archers, your enemy might react with a lot of skirmishers, for example, and why not switching to knights and going for a full castle approach. So this time you started with a lot of Cav Archers, your enemy tried to go for skirmishers, and now you add knights. So we can just use this composition here to pressure the enemy. So those are some of the compositions that I personally think that are very viable ones on Arabia. On team games, you might just be trying to focus in like one kind of unit. So most of the compositions I showed here are more applied for team game situations, okay? So in team games, for 1v1 situations. In team games, you might want to focus on a single unit. So let's say that the full knight approach is a good one, or the full Cav Archer one, so you can just assume a hold on your team of playing with the cavalry or countering the enemy infantry. So things like this might work. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. That was a brief summary about the army compositions that you want to use as the Huns. GG. Okay guys, let's talk a bit about tactics. As Huns, you have the power of the mobility. I have here a small group of two of our core units, the Knights and the Cav Archers. They do not have all the upgrades, just a few here. We're just reached the castle age, we haven't even upgraded this army, we just started making our first units. We had some tough feudal age, our enemy is trying to defend himself, and his army heavily outnumber ours for now. We still haven't outmassed this guy, so we want to attack him. How do you do damage while doing this? The technique here is called raiding. What's the raiding? You go for your enemy, you try to use your speed to pick up villagers, pick off armies out of position, you avoid army confrontation, and you just try to get views. So let's try to do some example of raiding here. Let's say that I just went here, with my knights to attack the enemy, and oh my god, this guy has a lot of pikemen. I might not be able to fight against the pikemen. What do? I just flee away. I just go away. I don't fight him. Might look like very simple, and it is. You just don't fight him. If possible, you make his army move after you. And how do you do this? You avoid fighting, you do not confront his army, and you go for his views, like I'm doing here. You go for the views, and you do not fight his army. If he has slower units, like the pikemen here, you can just pick off a few units by using the read and run technique. Read and run. Read and run. Read and run. And that's just it. You flee away when you cannot attack more targets. Read and run. Read and run. And you run forever if you need to. So basically that's how you use this mobility army. If you just directly try to kill his pikemen or something, you won't be able to do so. But by using your mobility, you can pick off some of his units alone if he's not paying so much attention in his army control. But the idea here is that we want to kill this guy by just picking off his views. let's try to pick off a few more views. We come here and pick views. We raid here and we pick views. He's now spotted us with some skirmishers. We run from him. You go with armies in like 2 different places if possible. This is going to be a lot helpful for you if you can do that. Attacking in 2 different spots is going to confuse your enemy, forcing him to divide his army. And you're probably going to be able to get more views by doing so. Okay, so that's the raiding. The idea here is not to lose your army. If you have monks at home, you can just get, for example, the injured army like this knight, send it home to heal with the monks, and keep the raiding non-stop here on his base. Oops, I didn't pay attention, even lost some Cav Archers. You don't want to do this, and that's basically this. Abuse of your mobility, even if your army cannot take down all the enemy army because of their number, because of their strength, you are going to still be picking off views and units that are not safe from your hit and run, and keep doing a good job. With Cav Archers, you can use the hit and run here to pick off a few units. With the knights, the best thing you can do is to go and get the views, even tank some damage from the town center to finish killing a villager or not. With Cav Archers, you want to avoid more the range of the town center, but with knights, especially if you have the armor, you do not want to do this. So try using multiple groups. 2 is a good number if you are not proficient, but if you just keep practicing a lot, you won't need to do something like this. Believe, guys, we might at some point, at some day, even finish off this guy just by using the raidings and, of course, the hit and run technique. I hope you have enjoyed it. That's something I wanted to show. You can just keep playing for like forever and forever like that. Practice the raiding because it's one of the most common tactics that you want to use as the Huns. GG. Alright, another small raiding demonstration here, guys. This time I'm going to play with only 6 light cavs here. Uh-oh, the enemy has spotted us. He might already be reacting. Okay, his army is there. As you can see, we have like no chance at all of killing all this army of pikemen with those guys. So what do you do in these situations? One suggestion is split your army into 2 or more groups. You can use these groups here to drag his attention, force him to micro his army, and try to pick off views that are more exposed, like this one. We pick it off, we fly away. Uh-oh, there's another one exposed here, we might try to pick it off. We pick it off and we go away. Some views here on the berries. We try to pick it off and we flee away. Pick it 1 and we flee away. We don't stop, we keep moving. At some point you might have to use your eco, so just go out of their line of sight, go for a safer spot, and while you send your army to the safer spot like this, you can just go to your home and fix your economy, use whatever you want to do. So like no problem. Okay, you finish dealing with the eco, go back and keep raiding. The idea here, guys, is that you are not going to fight and kill the enemy army. Oops, we walked into his army, that was bad. But you want to keep this guy busy. Remember, if he's losing time chasing you, it means that you can just keep raiding and he won't be attacked or hardly counter-attacked on your base. You are going to use your aggression as your defensive strategy. So the raiding is not only an aggressive strat here, but also a tool to defend. A suggestion that I give you is to create a scenario similar to that one. Add a few pikemen, add a few army. Try to see how many kills you can get in something like 5 minutes. How many kills can you get in 10 minutes? Try to challenge your numbers. Try to get more army. Some players might already have some better army control and might do a much better job. But most important, don't lose units for no reason. Do movements that might increase your chances of winning, and of course avoid getting hit for nothing. Every time I got hit here by the enemy, I was able to at least kill one view in the process. Or not. And of course, once you feel confident, you can just gather all your army and try to pick a fight. If you're just making more army, you might have enough numbers or a good composition. Let's say that I had some Cav Archers here together with me. I could use the combination of both Cav Archers and Light Cavs to kill this guy. But if you can, just go back and that's it. So raiding is not only about killing units. I have felt the impression that I might just induce you guys to try to kill the military, but sometimes you might have like zero impact into the military and still kill and still do a lot of damage. Another view down, we keep running, we keep running. Another view exposed, we keep running. If your enemy does not use walls to deny your mobility, that's a way of keep using it. So you are just developing your eco at home and killing his at his home. At some point you are going to have the economy lead if you already do not have it. And also you are going to be able to finish the game. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this small raiding demonstration here. Not a great one. There are of course players in a lot lower elos that can do a lot better ratings, but that's the concept. You go, you get views, you go out. You want to make your enemy more confused, you try to use more groups. If you are not able to use something like 3 or 4 groups on the ratings, with 2 you can already do a huge mess on this guy's base. GG. Alright guys, long time no see, or not. And I'm going to record here a build order for Drush and Cav Archers. This is one of my personal favorite builds for the Huns. I have used this even in tournaments before in 1v1 situations, and I have to say it's pretty much a very effective strategy. So let's go for it. Drush into Cav Archers. You start here by making fields. Starting here for the ship. We are going to start by eating the ships with 6 views. And the idea behind this build, guys, is we are going to open with a Drush to harass and with our opponent's economy. We're just going to disturb the guy with the militias, and while we disturb and buy time using our militias, we can wall off our base. We can just go, for example, to some palisade walling, and then later make a switch into Cav Archers, which are our core unit that we're going to use. Alright, we have already 6 views eating the goats. We have found some elephant, we have found some gold. I'm going now to send views to collect wood. This map seems very good. That's a map where I would truly go for the Drush into Cav Archers, because I can find some very easy way of walling it without using many resources. If you can, guys, you can lure. There's like 4 zebras here that can make our strategy a lot better. So if you already know how to do it, you might just be able to, and this is going to increase your strength on the strategy by a lot, since we're going to have a huge economy lead thanks to the lured units, and you won't have to invest a lot into farms. So 6 on the ship, 4 here on the wood. We just started, guys, to eat our 4th ship, right? So by the moment you do it, you have to go for the hunt. So I started eating the 4th ship, and I'm already going here to get a hippo, and I will keep sending now views to the TC until I have 8 views, counting with our hunter here, eating food from the ship and then killing the hunt and going for it. So I want to have something like 8 hunters. There we go. Killing the rhino. There we go, 8 hunters. So 8 hunters, 4 in the wood. I'm gonna send now views to the berries. So guys, there are, like I said, 2 ways of doing this build. First way is you go for the farming. Second way is you do not go for the farming. You go for the lure or you do not go for the lure. So I'm going to make a basic version first. I'm not going to use those zebras. And then later I'm going to repeat the same build in the same map, showing you how much difference it can make, okay? Anyway, I'm going to send now 4 views to the berries. I already sent 3. I'm going to send 1 more. I'm already going to go for the second elephant or the second hunt here. Could be a boar, could be another kind of unit. Doesn't matter. Truly doesn't matter. As long as you have these standard resources. And I will send the next view, guys, to a place here more forward in the direction of my enemy. I know that my enemy might be around here on the right side, so I'm sending the view forward here. And the idea is that this villager is going to make for us a barracks, okay? Bringing out the elephant, killing it. I'm going to send 1 view to the goat, and we have 12 views on the food. I'm going to send 1 more view to the food, and this guy that's making the barracks is already going to be tasked to make some walls. If we just start walling here with this guy, it means that we'll probably be fully walled by the time we are on the next stage. To make it sure, I'm going to send another view here to the back to start walling, and I'm going to get my gold miner here and send it back to the hunt. So right now we are making militias from the barracks. We have 10 hunters and we have 4 views eating here the meal, and we are going to start sending more views to the wood lines. So 5 views in this wood line. We are already going to send views to make a second lumber camp, and we have 2 views walling us. I started to show here, guys, the walls because I was receiving some complaints that my build orders, oh my god, we are getting stolen here. We're not showing the ways of the wall. So we have the 2 wallers here. Holy crap, huh? As long as those views are walling, guys, we are not counting them as economical units. Once they finish the wall, and by the way, you should be harassing your enemy with the Drush, we will start again to count those guys as economical units. But for now, they are just wallers. So we are finishing the wall. It's very important that you have safe woods and safe golds for this strategy. So it's not something that you can execute in every map. It's a bit situational, but as you can see, with a few palisades you can do it. Our hunters are now eating the sheep, and as soon as we finish eating this, we are going to spend farms. Making a mining camp here with our wallers. We are going to send 2 more views to the gold, so this way we are going to have 10 views on the wood, 14 on the food, and 4 on the gold. Uh-oh, the views finished the ship, so it's time for us to build farms. I'm going to farm heavily here, guys. I'm going to make at least 8 farms around the TC. That's why I'm eating the stragglers. I want to have 8 farms around the TC. There we go, 4 views in the gold, and we're clicking up to the feudal. We can already send 2 of those views to the berries. So we're going to have 8 farmers and 6 views on the berries. This pretty much means that we have 14 units collecting food for us. So 14 units collecting food, 8 farmers, 6 on the berries, 10 views here on the wood. Do we need all these views on the wood? Answer is yes. We used wood here to make barracks, then we used wood to make walls, then we used wood to make like 8 farms, and we are still going to need wood to make later for us guys an archer range and a blacksmith. We're going to need 375 wood, so that's why I'm trying to wait a bit before I make more farms. I'm already targeting here the next views to the gold. We already have 375 wood. which means that if we want, we can already start making more farms, because we already have the wood that we need to make the buildings. As long as we have the wood that you need, it's fine. Sending now some views forward to make the buildings for me. There we go. A blacksmith and an archer range. 2 more views to the gold, blacksmith and archer range. I'm finishing to eat the fruits here, guys. I have right now 9 farms. I can even make one more if I want to have 10 farms on the total. And I'm finishing to eat the berries. From those views here from the wood, they can go back to it. I will just keep one view building, more archer ranges for me. I can click up to the castle age. You might be already just have enough resources to do it, and I'm going to make a few transitions. I want to take 2 views here from the berries and send to the gold to have a total of 8 views collecting gold. As soon as I can, guys, I also want to make the wood upgrade here. And our berries are about to finish. Once they finish it, we are going to send those views to the wood. So I want to have like around 12 views in the wood. We have 5 in one lumber camp here, 5 in the other. We have 1 view switching between wood and building archer ranges. You can see that I'm building like 3 archer ranges, guys, and that's exactly this. We need 3 archer ranges in this build. I'm now going for the gold mining upgrade. I'm also going to make 2 more upgrades. I'm going to make the fletching, which is the most basic upgrade for your Cav Archers to have at least 1 extra attack and 1 extra range. And guys, I'm also going to make already, or I can even wait a bit to make the horse collar. I like to make it before I go up to castle because later I might just forget about it, huh? And since we have already 8 views on the gold, we have a huge gold bank, but those 8 views are not going to be able to support our massed Cav Archers forever. So I'm going to go for more views on the gold. 1, 2, 3 archer rangers, all producing Cav Archers. Double bow saw upgrade if you are walled and protected. Bodkin arrow if you are under pressure and might need your Cav Archers to take down a huge army. 4 views to the gold. We have 8. We are going until 12 at least, okay? So I'm just sending more views here to the gold. And of course I will just keep spamming Cav Archers. I don't need to worry about houses, so I will have a good number of Cav Archers as the game goes by. Remember, guys, that we made a lot of farms and those farms are also about to run off. So we might have to use a lot of wood here to remake those farms. The minimum number of working farms that we need is 6 to keep the town center working. We are just getting extra food from the farms because we might use them to make upgrades later on. We're making the farms, making the Cav Archers non-stop. 12 views on the gold. We are going to send 2 more views to the gold. I want to have now 14 because we are not only going to make Cav Archers. At some point we might need to make some upgrades. And we are making Cav Archers, sending views to the gold, upgrading now the Bodkin arrow, and not stop making views. Once we have 14 views here on the gold, I'm going to get more and more wood, guys. So I'm going back to the wood here. Gonna send more views to the wood because we have some decisions to make. Whoa, you see that we are not hearing that farm sound? That's because this build is done correctly. Making more Cav Archers, sending out the views to the woods. We have the Bodkin arrow upgrade. And now, guys, we have some decisions to make. So once we've send more views here to the wood, I will start talking about the decisions. You can see that since we have 3 archer ranges working, we might already have a huge number of Cav Archers. This of course can be even increased if you have some ally like the Briton on the other side. Alright, I guess we are going for an okay situation. We are constantly producing Cav Archers. We have remade all the farms. Only those 2 are yet to be remade. This one and our 10th farmer is about to be done. We can keep upgrading the Cav Archer by going for the Paladin Archer armor. And right now I'm going to make a pause and we're going to discuss a bit about what we can do here. Game's paused, 22 minutes. We are around 22 minutes. We had a huge army of Cav Archers and we are also collecting wood from a lot of lumber camps. We can even invest into new lumber camps or town centers here, and we have to take a decision. What are we going to do? Are we going to upgrade those Cav Archers and place like full Cav Archers 1TC? Are we going to go for some booming? What are we gonna do? So I'm going to show the 2 transitions here. One of them, we are just going to stay 1TC like forever and invest fully into going into Cav Archers. And the other, we're just going for some boom. So I hope you have enjoyed it. That was the build order for Drush into Cav Archers. You can see that you can achieve the... Let me save the game as Drush and Cav Archers to show you the statistics. Let me resign and show that we just reached the castle age around something like 60 minutes and 20 or 6 minutes and 40 or 30. Oh, 16 and 44. Still fine, considering that we had to make a lot of farms, considering that we had to take up deers, we didn't take deers, considering that we had to make like 3 archer ranges and we already had the eco set it up for that. It's kind of okay. And if you go for the military, around 22 minutes, we already had 31 military. Of course, this is counting the militias and the scouts, so we had something like 27 Cav Archers already. So by that time, we already had done like 9 Cav Archers in each one of our archer ranges, and that's the secret of the build. Alright guys, let's go now for the first transition. We are going all in into Cav Archers. We're not going to add more TCs. We are going to upgrade those Cav Archers and play full raiding mode. I recommend you not to use this in team game. One bad fight and this can all go the way down. But for 1v1, it's still a valid, solid strategy. So let's do it by correcting here our eco with more lumber camps, fully upgrading all our Cav Archers, and we are going to do it by adding a stable because we are going to need this for some upgrades. And we might already, guys, send views here to the new gold. We might need to get more gold, believe it or not. Actually no, let's wait a bit. Let's get for something around 24 views on the wood before we go to the gold. We have like 21, so a few more. Making now the Cav Archers non-stop, making the bloodlines. We're gonna make now a university. We have the stable making bloodlines. We're going for the university to make ballistics. We can also make here, guys, the leather archer armor later on, but I'm prioritizing doing the bloodlines first and the ballistics. We already had a huge arm of Cav Archers, and now that I have around 24 views on the wood, I'm gonna start sending more units to the gold. Okay, making a new gold mining, and we're just going to keep sending views to the gold. Making now the ballistics. Upgrading now the husbandry, so our Cav Archers are going to run a bit more. Since we're going full into Cav Archers, we are mostly going to invest fully into gold and wood. So as soon as we have the resources, we're also going to invest into the gold shaft mining upgrade, which is the second gold upgrade, okay? And we can already move like 3 new views here to make more archer ranges, because we are going to spend now from something like 6 ranges, okay? As I said, that's a very useful build order for 1v1. You were like going all in. We might truly need more views on the gold. Gold shaft mining to help us collecting it properly. Let me send views to the other gold here, to the third one. For this build to work, you have to be constantly attacking, keeping your enemy busy, because since we're not adding more town centers for now, we are very vulnerable on our own base, right? Making the Cav Archers, let's go for the 7th range here. I'm trying to keep all these ranges working. Making views, TC working, ranges working, spamming a lot. We have the gold shaft mining complete now, which will increase our productivity on the gold. We can already think now about new upgrades, for example the Reviplow if we want to make more farms, but since we only have 10, I would advise just banking up this food to make the tumbling, which is quite important. Here guys, I went more into the mass than into the upgrades. If I wanted, I could have delayed a bit the gold upgrade and the new ranges to go, for example, for the a few knights. Oh my god, they stand like no chance against this amount of Cav Archers. And go for the tumbling. Let me delete the militia. Keep making views. At this moment we have like 7 archer ranges spamming Cav Archers. We're fully going to it. We already have a huge food bank. And now guys, another few decisions that you have to make. How are you going to use this wood that you have banked up? Do you want to go for siege and harass the opponent, or do you want to start booming now? So first option, drop like siege workshops to make battering runs on your enemy. You go for those and just drop it on the enemy. Or the other option is drop town centers to boom. I'm dropping town centers now. We have a lot of gold, a lot of wood. I can just now focus on the booming, but the idea here is you have to be pressuring a lot. For having like 7 ranges spamming Cav Archers, you should be already killing your enemy, okay? Finishing the last upgrade here, which is the leather archer armor. Of course, those upgrades order are very situational. If I were fighting against a guy with full skirmisher or full archers, I would probably have wanted to make these +2 early on. So you are going to see it by yourself when you're playing and take those decisions. But mostly, if you're fighting against archers, you might want to make the armor. If you're fighting against camels, you might rush into the bloodlines and husbandry, and so on. And that's it. Keep trying to make farms, keep trying to make views on the TCs. We will start booming now, but basically we already did what we wanted, that was spamming like all Cav Archers of the game. Even if your enemy tries to go for a strong army or to go for siege, man, with this amount of Cav Archers you should probably be able to kill him. So that was the first transition here, the full Cav Archer approach. Instead of investing into new town centers, you just keep the minimum number of views on the food and keep using your extra wood to add more ranges, your extra gold as well. And there you go. Meanwhile, at your home, just keep adding views to Boom. Complete the 18 views around the TCs to keep it working, and so on. We could even add more archer ranges if we wanted here. So that's the full Cav Archer approach. Drush, Fast Castle, and the transition to full Cav Archer. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Alright guys, let's talk about the first transition here, which is the transition into Siege. Let's say that you have opened a huge advantage here, you traded some blows with your Cav Archers, and you know that your enemy is going, for example, for crossbowmen right now on the castle. What am I doing here? I'm fixing my eco here with extra lumber camps if I need it. I'm sending a view forward and we are going to make here the transition for Siege. Basically, you want to make a siege workshop and you want to make it closer to your enemy if the idea is using the siege workshop to screw him over. Or if you are under some heavy pressure of a lot of archers, you might just want to make it defensively on your base to deal with some crossbows. I'm sending a few more views to the wood. I'm about to have 22 views on the wood. And I'm of course going to start collecting more gold. You can start making runs, and there's some small detail that I want to talk. If you already realized that you could pressure your enemy with siege around 17 or 18 minutes, you could have idled a bit your Cav Archer production to already switch into some siege. Very situational, but happens. But if you actually just want to use your Cav Archers and siege now, after gaining some advantage, no problem. You can go even for a double siege approach in order to spend the runs faster. Okay, that can happen. That can be done. Upgrading now the +2 armor. We are probably going to dive into town centers now. Going now for a stable because we want to go for the bloodlines. Wheelbarrow, let's make our views more productive. We are around 50 views here. Making runs. Since we have 2 siege workshop, we can make the runs a lot faster. So that's one of the transitions that you might just use, especially when you are in advantage. I think that when you are in any kind of 1TC strategy like we are, at the first tide of having any advantage, you should go for the runs. To snowball your army effect here by killing your enemy buildings. Let's say that this guy was trying to make skirmishers. You could just prioritize killing his archer ranges. And he would most likely try to counter you with mangonels. So if the enemy tries to do this, what are your options? By the way, our Cav Archers are very resistant now. If your enemy tries to counter you with mangonels, you can even do some mangonels of your own, like I'm doing here. Or you can try to micro your Cav Archers in some split formation like this, to avoid getting a lot of damage, and hit his mangonel. Let's say it was here. 1, 2, his mangonel is down. So you could do something like this as well, okay? Those runs can clean town centers very quickly. Oh, let's go for the ballistics, huh? Let's go also for the thumb ring. We're fully upgrading our Cav Archers here for the fights. And we are meanwhile massing mangonels, making runs, making more Cav Archers. Easy to deal with any kind of enemy when you can just clean out his town center, clean out his houses, his buildings. So just use this siege follow-up as to snowball your advantage from the Cav Archers. Cav Archers and siege, that was the second transition. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Alright guys, let's go for yet another transition here. I want to make a transition to Paladins. Let's say that you used your Cav Archers to the best extent you could here. but you just realize that your enemies are all walled by now. They were able to defend, and what your team needs is you to stop doing Cav Archers and focus on transitioning to Paladins. How are we going to do this? You can start by adding 2 extra TCs. You can even stop getting gold with all those views and go and focus on the TCs. And we are now trying to make an eco to go full for Paladins. Fixing here our lumber camp, making 2 new TCs. If you have some extra food source like the zebras, you can eat them. I'm not gonna eat in this case, but if you can, use this. And we are of course gonna need some views to support all these TCs, some farms to support all these town centers, right? So let's make some farms. I just stopped making Cav Archers, guys, so there's no reason for me to keep all those views on the gold. I'm also gonna go fast here for the stone, because I might even want to play with something like 4 TCs. So if you realize that the Cav Archers are not gaining you anything anymore, you already did something like 30 Cav Archers, but your team is worried about an enemy trying to go for Paladins, just make a full switch here, add more town centers, start adding more farms, go for at a minimum of 18 farms just to keep the town centers working, go for the stone, and we are going for something like a minimum of 40 to 50 farms to go for full Paladins, okay? Alright, there we go. We are going for the seas. Going for farms. We are not gonna bank wood here, guys. We're just going to spend farms. If you have a bank of food, use it to upgrade the revenue flow. If you don't, no problem. We're just making a full transition into boom. I don't care anymore about the gold. I only care here about making a lot of farms, making more TCs. Getting my eco very strong, because I want to have Paladins going on as soon as possible, and I also want to have enough strength on my eco to keep those Paladins producing, right? It doesn't matter for me to produce Paladins for something like 3 stables. I want to keep them producing and from a lot of stables if possible. We upgraded the horse collar. I'm upgrading now the revenue flow. I already have some gold bank here, but if I hadn't, I would start putting views on the gold. And of course, I'm going to invest here. Let's go up to 50 farms. Remember, guys, that's a scenario where your team just realizes that there's no value in your value, what the fuck, I don't know how to say it, on the Cav Archers. How are we doing this? I'm avoiding to have wood banks, guys. Whenever I see wood here, I'm trying to drop farms up to 50 once. And now, of course, what we need is the buildings to go for the Imperial Age upgrade. Which buildings are these? Monastery and University can do it. Monastery and Siege Workshop. What matters more than the buildings that we are doing is how is your eco going. We have around 50 views on the food. We can already restart going for the gold. So go for the gold, go for the gold, go for the gold, go for the gold. Finish the buildings. Let's go for something around 55 farms. And we are around to click up to Imperial Age. So if you have to transition, guys, just stop whatever you're doing, drop new TCs and go for the booming, and you can go for a transition into Paladins. The thing is, your eco, if you want to go for Paladins, must have a lot of food being collected, like mine. right here. We have 55 farmers. Upgrade the gold later on. You have to have something around 30 views on the gold by the time you're hitting Pure Age. I'm even sending some from the wood. Make another blacksmith to accelerate the speed which you are going to make the upgrades. And of course, send some views, at least 3, to build stables for you in order to go for the Paladins. Don't stop making views. I suggest you to have around 120 views. So we'll have to go up while keeping making views here. Making views and going up. Making upgrades from the 2 buildings here. Making the stables. Remaking the farms now with Reviplo on the auto farm. Zero problem. Upgrading the bloodlines. We're gonna have something around 60 stables as Huns. This will be more than enough to provide us a lot of units. Let's rush up for a few more farms maybe. Get something around 60 farmers. Making the upgrades, we can already start making knights here. And there we go. Cavalier upgrade, wood upgrade as soon as you can. If you truly need to make the Cavaliers as soon as possible, just start making them right now. If you can wait a bit for the Paladin, wait. If you want to boost the speed which you are spamming, go for more stables. But 6 is more than enough for Huns. Making now the plate barding armor. Making now the last attack upgrades. And of course, dropping here the Paladins. We have around 120 views, around 60 farmers, a lot of views here in the gold, right? A lot of views in the gold. Some of those can even get out here and go for the wood. We need around 30 to 40 views in the gold, so no need for all those views here. 35 around the gold is just fine. Upgrade the Paladin. You're already producing a lot of food. Go for it. Keep messing. I'll just keep messing Paladins here, non-stop. And of course, go for the trade, because around 35 minutes already in a team game, you want to be making trade. Uh-oh, we are getting punished here. Let's go for our Paladins. Fully upgraded, only Paladin upgrade lacking here. Where is it? There you go. It's still 40%. Not bad, not good. And our eco can pretty much allow us to keep going for Paladins for a lot of time. Of course, we need to start making this transition here to markets. I like always to make the minimum of 4 markets, or even more if I want to accelerate the speed at which I'm making it. Now we can provide Paladins for our team. We can even boost up these numbers from 6 to more stables by adding a 7th one, by adding a 8th one. We can also get some views from the gold, for example, and send to the stone in order to drop a castle, make some upgrades, make the conscription, maybe make some traps. But the idea here, in most cases when you are Hun, is to keep making Paladins a lot. Use the guilds to sell up resources, upgrade here the caravan. Now that you made all the upgrades, might be a good idea to transition some of your views from the food to the wood. So like 40 views or 50 views are more than enough to keep the Paladin train going. You can switch here to the wood. Reason you might try to do this at some point, if you're already spamming Paladins, is to allow your markets to have enough investment to spend trade cards, and you are just going to spend trade cards and Paladin for most of the game. Another small detail that's quite important is you are Hun. You need to rely on the numbers. Your Paladins are not the strongest in the games. They are weakest than Frank Paladins, not as useful as the Persian one, do their bonus, not as good as the Lithuanian, so you always want to have more Paladins when you are Hun. So this means that once you start transitioning here your eco from the gold to the trade cards, you might have to delete some views to have population space, okay? Keep making trade cards. I'm just showing you that you can just keep making it without some trouble, and of course spamming the Paladins. So that's it guys, another transition for you in case you need to make Paladins. What you might have to do to your eco is just make that transition, okay? So go for it, Drush and Fast Castle, go for the Cav Archers as soon as you can, make the transition here to Paladins in some cases if you need, and play as the cavalry unit that you are for your team. Don't forget that delete your villagers while you are replacing your eco with trade cards, or you might just get something like 150 views and no enough army, which can be quite troublesome for your team. I often do this mistake guys, but now that I'm trying to correct it myself, I'm already sharing with you. Keep an eye on the view numbers, especially when you are Huns. You want to have numbers of army instead of numbers of views. Okay, and there we go. A lot of trade cards should be already giving us some gold. Oh, I can send to my allies, huh? I have allies here. What I'm doing, man? What a mistake, huh? And of course, if you have accidents of food, and sometimes wood, if the map is not limited, you can do it. Castle to make the conscription. The views that we transition into the wood are not allowing our farms to get idle. And we have a huge arm of Paladins. Views being deleted. Some Paladins are dying in the fights, of course. But we still have plenty of them. So Hunt is quite simple. That's basically it. If you're playing it in game, you want to be producing Paladins. If you have to fight on two sides of the map, one thing that you might already consider is to take some views to build stables on the other side to help your allies already making some Paladins on their side. Instead of having to take your Paladins and walking all the map to get there, you can close the gap, especially in your mobility by doing this. And right now, we should already have trade guys, but I was not sending my trade cards to the other side because I forgot. But we are going to have a lot of trade to use. You can see that each one of those cards is bringing back 124 gold. So we already have more than 1k5 gold here, which will allow us to make at least at least 20 more Paladins just with this first trip here. So that's basically it. Transition into Paladin. If you fall short on the gold, if your enemy killed your first trades or something like this, you can just keep using the market to sell some resources and still making trade cards and a few Paladins. In the worst case scenario where trade is limited, you can even switch here to light cavalry or Rooster and do a few of those to help you. But that's the truly worst case scenario. You never want this to happen. You always want to keep making Paladins from all the sides of the map. And that's it. Hope you have enjoyed it. GG. We did a 33 minutes in Pure Rage after we just stopped making Cav Archers once we had around like 30 Cav Archers already, and boomed to go for the Paladins and reached a higher number of 73 Paladins. That could have been a bit better, 80 Paladins, 90 Paladins, so try to keep high numbers when you are playing with the Huns. High military count is a must for the Hun player. Alright guys, do remember that we already did two transitions, so let's do a third one That's the most conservative one, but also one of my favorites. And it's great for team games especially, but also can be used in 1v1, which is the transition to a regular 3TC boom. We are not going to stay on castle forever. Huh? We might just want to spend our eco either to later come back and do more army on castle age, or to focus already on going to imperial age. So let's go for the booming. There we were on this situation, spamming Cav Archers. So you can right now analyze if you need to upgrade those Cav Archers, if you need to go for the bloodlines right now, if you need to go for the ballistics. If the answer is yes, drop a stable, drop an university and make those upgrades. If it's not the case, if you can just keep raiding a lot, and since you have, for example, an ally going for knights, you can just keep behind him with your Cav Archers without all the armors and still do a good job using the mobility. Go for the boom straight away. How are we going to transition here into the booming? First thing, we are going to see if we have to remake any farm. Only one, so no problem into holding wood. And we are going to drop a TC. How many farms do we have right now? We have 10 farms. So together with this TC, we might need to add 2 more farms. So I'm going already to place 1, and as soon as I have the resources, 2 more farms. And 2. There we go. 1, 2. Right now we are keep spamming the Cav Archers non-stop, even making more upgrades if we need. And we are going for the second TC. Of course, these TCs are now sustainable. We can even go for the third one. So let's just wait a bit and go for our third TC. There we go. We are of course not stopping to make Cav Archers. We have a huge army here of Cav Archers. As if you need, of course, or at some point you want, you can just upgrade them. But right now I'm just focusing on the booming. Once this town center is finished, we might need enough. We might need to have enough farms to keep it working. So, how many farms do we want here? 18. So we have to make 6 more farms. Just gonna wait a bit. I'm still making now the Cav Archers around to finish the town center. So let's drop the 6 new farms we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And redirect all the views, for example, to the wood. Even make a new lumber camp. Huh? And there we go. We are now booming 3 TCs. We have a sustainable eco. We can even go for the wheelbarrow, since we have passed this 50 view mark. And keep making Cav Archers and booming. Okay, so right now we make the first transition, which is the transition into boom. With this one you can just go for a lot of things. So hear me out guys, I want to talk about some variations we might have. This game has infinite possibilities, but one possibility you have is, once you made a sustainable economy here on the castle age and you are also spamming Cav Archers, you can 1. Make a transition to a second type of army. So let's say we want to, together with those Cav Archers, use some siege. We go heavy for the wood and gold and start adding siege. Together with those Cav Archers, we want to add knights. We are going for a full army, for a full power army combination. How are we going to do this? Well, you want to add 2 stables with knights, add something like 6 extra farms for stable you want to keep working, and add more stables. So we could already just drop like 2 more stables, make the farms, switch some of those views that were going out to the woods to another gold, and go for knights and Cav Archers. We could also make more archer ranges like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and work with something like 7 or 8 archer ranges and go full for Cav Archers just by switching 2 town centers here to the gold and 1 for the wood. So depending on what on what you want to do and how you want to play, there are like a lot of transitions that you can do from here. But I'm just going to teach you a very basic one, which is the keep booming and go for Cav Archer and run. So let's do it. We have 18 views. We are making the Cav Archer. We of course, guys, might need to make the upgrades, so I'm not gonna pretend they do not exist. I'm going to drop a university and a stable to finish the upgrades. I'm sending views here to the woods. We have views going to the woods. I want to make like 2 upgrades here. I want to make the bloodlines on the stable and the ballistics on the university. And of course, I want to keep making Cav Archers. Look at the amount of Cav Archers we have. So as soon as I finish those upgrades, guys, I'm going to make a transition here for the eco. Bloodlines, ballistics. Oops, okay, ballistics. Now guys, let's make the transition to the Imperial Age. How this works? Quite simple. We are just going to make farms until we have around 30 farms. So 12 more farms, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we are going to have around 30 farmers, let's add a lot of views to get for us gold. So I'm going to switch something like 10 views here to the gold. 10 views switching to the gold, and I will keep making views. Right now we have 30 farmers. We're not stopping making Cav Archers. We're not gonna stop it. We have a huge army. We are going heavy for the gold. I can even switch more views here to the gold if I want to. And of course we can already think about our transition to the next age, which is going to be full Cav Archers and runs, right? So I'm not going to rush the up here to the next stage, guys. I could do it by adding more farms, for example, but 30 is an excellent number. What you can do here is to focus on the upgrades. So you can focus, for example, on upgrading a handcart. Keep making views here to the wood. You were obviously going to remake the farm, so you can even go for the Brevi Plow or for the gold shaft mining, or you can just wait until you click Imperial Age and do these upgrades. If you want to keep using the Castle Age to create your leverage, you can already start making siege, or you can already start making more ranges. And this will allow you to keep making more Cav Archers and already starting some runs while you were booming here to go to the next stage. Of course, guys, I'm also doing a build where I'm not idling my archer ranges for not a single moment. So I have a huge army here, but if I wanted to idle my archer rangers for quite some time, I could have, for example, invested early on the gold or on other stuff. And thanks to that, we would be already on our way to Imperial Age. Alright, so we are adding runs, adding more Cav Archers. Whew. About to click up. We are very close from clicking up, guys, believe me. Just need those views to give us the food, and we can go up. We are almost popped around 100 views, and that's it. This is one of the combinations, one of the most powerful combinations you might want to have as a Hun player playing in a 1v1 scenario and in a few team game scenarios when you're focusing on Cav Archers. A full army of Cav Archers and a transition here to siege run. You are going to see that the number of views we did here will just be enough to make most of the things we want to do. As Huns, guys, as I said, our focus here is on having numbers, is on having army. So I'm not going to do much more views. Once you have around 105, 110 views like I have here, if you have a huge army like this, you can pretty much stop making the views. I often made the mistake of making way too much views and not having the numbers. As other civs, you might do this because of the quality of the army, but as Huns, you need to rely on the quality of your army, on the quantity of your army, not on the quality, sorry. So that's basically how we want to play this. We took our time here on Castle Age. We are about to reach the Imperial Age. Ooh, our gold has finished, eh? Let's go for the extra. And let's finish all the upgrades here for the army. If you missed some upgrade like the gold mining, like the Reviplo, just complete it. Once Imperial Age, you want to make the Cav Run, the Bracer, the Chemistry, the Party and Tactics upgrade, which will give you extra armor and also some more strength against units such as the Halps. And the last upgrade you want to do for your Cav Archers is the Cav Archer. And the thing is, it costs a lot of food for what it gives you back. So you are not going to win any range with this upgrade, and not so many armor as the others. So for what it gives you, it doesn't worth to upgrade it first. But now you can just choose, do you want to upgrade the Siege Run or the Cav Archer? But don't worry too much, because soon you are going to have the resources to upgrade them. If you are a bit more perfectionist and you wanted to upgrade it than ASAP, you could have added a few more villagers on the food. Go for something like 35 views when you were going up, okay? Anyway, that's basically it. Upgrade the wood. Keep using here the brands, siege runs and Cav Archers. Even if you lose a huge number of Cav Archers in those fights, like I just did here, you can just replace them because you have a solid eco to replace them. Even make more archer ranges if you are losing a lot of Cav Archers. And since we had a huge army since early stages of the game, you should be able to keep pressuring your enemy for quite some time. So keep raiding, keep pressuring, use the power of the Huns, use your Cav Archers, and finish the game. Our eco fully oriented here into Cav Archers and siege runs, and that's the GG. If it's a team game, you might also be wanting to have already a lot of markets because you are consuming like a lot of gold. GG. Okay, let's talk now about another good build order that I like for the Huns. You can do this with most cavalry civilizations, but I truly think that the Huns excel on this strategy, which is the fast castle into knights. That's also another very classic build, man. People are using this kind of strategy since 2000, so it's already being explored to the most. Nowadays, people are always going for scouts in Arabia. It seems everyone just forgot how strong the strat is. So I'm just going to teach you, and you can harass everyone on the team game ladder by going for the fast castle into knights. Good for land maps, good when you are, for example, in the pocket position like I am here. I'm the player 5 and I'm in the pocket position, so let's go for it. Start by sending the ship to TC, exploring with the scout into ships, and start eating the ship. We want to find all our standard resources here. It's a must for us to find them. We already found the berries, the gold, the wood, one elephant here. There are some deers, and this is important, guys. Honestly, we are going to use the deers. Can we do this strategy without using the deers? Yes, we can. Just like we did the fast castle, the Russian fast castle into Cav Archers, we could have done this with or without the deers. But here, let's use them. That's how you want to play. That's idealistically what you want to do. And since this build order is less complex than the Drush one, which you are going to make army on the Dark Age, and you have to start taking gold and thinking about walling, thinking about the barracks. Here it's not that complex, so I'm even going to add some luring on it. I guess if you are already watching this guide, you are probably familiar with the basic build orders. If you're not, go for them. And we are going to introduce the luring here. So anyway, 6 views on the ship. I'm eating the 3rd ship, guys. The 4th one's here. I'm going now for the wood. Once I start eating, guys, the 4th ship, I will already select a villager to go for the first hunt, for the elephant. Alright, that's it. Right now you can see that I start eating the 4th ship, right? If my elephant's too far away, alright, send the view. If it's not too far, wait a bit like I did and then send it. All the next views are going to the hunt. We want to have 8 hunters eating this elephant, okay? Bring it to the TC. Come on boy. Yes. He's a good boy, he's coming here. Okay, 8 hunters on the elephant, going now for the berries. I'm still missing, guys, 2 ships here. Oh my god. Scared. Going now for the berries. Uh-oh, where is our ship? Probably around here. We're gonna find it. I'm not worried. We don't need it just right now. We are now adding views to the berries and eating this elephant. As soon as we have around 150 food left on this elephant, right now I'm going to send a view to get the rhino. We have 3 views on the berries. Let's put the 4th one. Our scout's still struggling here to find the last ships. Oh my god. But that's alright because we still have plenty of food on the TC. Pushing the rhino back. I'm having some idle time here. Ah! It seems like we found the ship, finally. We have now 10 hunters and 4 views on the berries. So pretty much, guys, we have 14 views and we have all the views we need on the food. We are not going to take these guys out of the food until we are on the castle age. What we might do is change those views, for example, from the hunt to the farms and things like this, but we are not going to do it. 5 views on the wood, let's put 5 more on other wood here. Pushing the deers. Eating it. I'm eating it then with 4 views. I'm already going to make something like 4 farms, guys, and I'm going, of course, to choose the views that are more injured here, because this way I can keep them close to the TC, and because I'm already investing heavily into the wood, so I can afford these farms. This strategy is very intensive on the food, because the knights are costly. They cost more food than a villager. They cost 60 food each one, and they also cost a lot of gold. So right now, guys, I have 10 views on each one of the wood lines, and I'm sending 3 views now to the goat. Pushing the zebras. That's the last zebra. We still have the sheep to eat here. 4 views still eating there. Okay, the last one. Let's release our scout from its duty. And right now, guys, oops, I'm clicking on the loom and on the feudal age. One of my views here from the woods gonna make a barracks for us. Remember, on this situation, I'm mostly focusing on the eco, but if you want to wall, for example, what's my suggestion for you? You can at some point already send a view to make some palisades around here to keep you safe, and you are not gonna count this view on the build order. Only after he finished his work, you are going to count him as a villager once again. So let's say he just finished his job right now. Now we send him back to the eco, and there he will be. But if not, doesn't count it. Okay, finish the barracks, going back to the wood. I need 375 food, guys, to make the stable and the blacksmith. I already have it, but I'm not going to drop new farms here. The reason is quite simple. I want to wait until I'm on feudal age because I can drop the farms with the new upgrade of the horse collar. One of the secrets of this build order is that you are going to reach the castle age with a very solid eco, and with this very solid eco you can abuse of its power to mass army in the beginning if you want, or to just boom, or, which is more common, do both. Get both eco and army advantage. Upgrading now the double bit axe here for the wood, upgrading now the horse collar as well, putting the farms on auto farm. The views that finished collecting food on the TC are going out to the stagglers. So same for our builders. I'm clicking up now to castle age, and I'm also going to upgrade the gold. So we upgraded the wood, we upgraded the food, we upgraded the gold. I'm now going to drop more farms, guys, and I want to have at least 12 views on the food. The others can go already to the wood. Of course, not before making a second stable. So that's the lineup that we want to have on our eco. 12 views on the food. On this situation here, I'm having 10 farmers and 2 views on the berries, finishing to collect it. 5 views on the gold. Those will be responsible to allow us to make the knights from the 2 stables. And of course, we are also going to have 12 views on the wood. So I have 6 on this wood, I have 5 more on that other, and I'm about to have the 61 coming from the stable. So there we go, that's our eco. Once we are on the castle age, we are going to make knights. That will be our goal. But different from other build orders, guys, we won't be able to just keep making those knights forever. If you want, you can go for a more approach like 1-C and keep making the knights from the 2 stables, but you are just going to delay your booming. Let me pause when we reach the castle. There we go. We reached the castle age here, guys, around 60 minutes. On this scenario, look the amount of resources that we have. It's a fucking amazing number of resources. Around 600 food, around 550 wood, almost 400 gold. This will allow us to go for a lot of different things. So I want to start by making knights, and the number of knights will always be situational. Your team might be in need of your cavalry, and you might have to do something like 8 or 10 knights in the beginning, or your team might be just fine. So fine you can even sleep. Sorry for that. And you can just drop something like 4 knights and go for the booming. So we are going to do a few things. We are going to make knights from the stables, make the wood up, and keep making views. Let's go. Views, knights, wood up. We have 4 farms to remake, that the ones that we did in Dark Age. So 1, 2 farms, 3 farms here, and 4 farms out there. And we can already send the views now to, and we can already start booming. So to start booming, make new TCs. Get ready to make more farms because we are going to need it. And of course, we are making knights here to help our team. We're making the farms. We still have to remake that one. We already have 12 views on the food, so we can pretty much keep this TC working. Uh-oh, not anymore. 2 more farms here. Right now, guys, we can keep the 2 town centers, but our food bank is almost over. We might not be able to keep making knights forever. Finishing the TC. Let's go for a third TC. And there we go. Right now, guys, 18 minutes. What do we have at 18 minutes? We have 8 knights already, and we can use those knights to help our allies, to pick up some fights, to harass our economy's eco, to raid. So this is one of the strongest units. We of course cannot afford the upgrades because we are focusing here on a transition to TCs. I'm not even going to focus on more transitions. This is very situational. As I said, sometimes you might just choose to, instead of starting with 8 knights, you start with something like 12, adding more views to the gold and delaying your town centers. You are going to adapt according to each situation. But right here, I'm just adding those 8 and I'm going to focus now on the booming. So for now, guys, I will just do the minimum amount of knights possible. I will just do knights when I have spare gold and food. And I will focus on getting a good eco for my TCs. I still need something like 6 more farms at least to make this TC viable, so let's go for it. We're making the third TC. Our knights should be already going to help our allies, raiding or doing whatever. And we are making more farms. As I said, we need something like 6 more. I already did 3. So 3 more to go. 2 more to go. We are almost done with the town center. Town center up. Making a few more farms. And there we go. We have now 3 TCs, 18 farms, and after making the first night wave here, we are actually booming. What's the next step here? The next step, in my opinion, is you can add a monastery and start collecting relics and reading your knights, or you can just focusing on the booming. I like always focusing on the booming. You can go for the monastery later on. So we are going now, guys, to use all the spare food we have, all the wood bank, all the spare wood, all the wood bank to keep making more farms. I want to rush until I have something around 24, later 30. We are going in 6 farms until we have something like 30 farms on our eco to be able to support all the town centers and the 2 stables working non-stop. So let's go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, 24 farms. Not so hard, huh? So what are we going to do? Let's do another farm wave here, not allowing us to bank up any wood. We do not want this wood to be banked. Booming rapidly here. 30 farms already, guys. 21 minutes. Incredible, right? So let's upgrade the wheelbarrow. Keep going for the wood. At this moment, we are going to start having spare food that we can use for either make more knights or already start making the upgrades. Around this time, guys, 20 minutes, you might have already players that went for a feudal age approach, getting castle. So if you had, for example, a Briton massing archers on feudal, this guy is about to get on castle age, and you are going to have to fight against against strong army. So how are you going to deal with this? By making all the upgrades for the knights, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to start with the scale barding armor and later the bloodlines. Let's still keep making farms here, we can. So why not 6 more? Up, let's go to 36. Bloodlines. We have 36 farms. I'm already going to start going back to the gold and start making more stables. Right now you should be ahead on the eco from the other pocket if you went for scouts, from the flanks if they went for army. You are already dropping here more stables. I suggest you dropping a minimum of 4 stables, upgrade the chain barding armor, do not stop to make views, and of course start spamming knights from your 4 stables. Let's think about it. We needed, how many farms we need at least to keep this going on? We have 6 farms only to keep the TCs. Then we made more farms up to 30 and we could keep 3 stables. So if we go up to something like 40 farms or 42, we can be able to sustain all those stables. So just get your views and make more farms. As simple as that. We have now 4 stables, guys. Our knights are +2 knights. By +2 knights, I mean that they have +2 armor. So pretty much those knights can now fight against archers. And it's just a matter of fixing up the eco right now. 42 views on the food. I'm going heavily now for the gold. You can even switch more views here to the gold in order to perform better. Keep making the knights. Go for the other upgrades, such as the husbandry to increase your the speed of your knights, such as the forging to increase their attack. We should already be starting to get worried about the amount of farms we have and if we're going to have to remake them. So at this moment it's also a good thing to go for the brevet flow. And guys, you can see that we already have a wood bank. But the thing is, look at the amount of farms we have to remake. All those farms here that we did right after we went for the castle are about to go down. So it's an illusion to think that we have all this wood available. We are actually going to use all this wood within the next few minutes to remake some of the farms. But we have some decisions to make. So let's talk about the decisions. First one is to go for a full knight approach. What's a full knight approach? We're just going to keep adding stables and we'll try to be very aggressive with those knights now and try to focus on finishing the game between now and 35 minutes, which would be the time that most of our enemies would be already on pure age with cavaliers and paladins. So we try a castle age approach. Second approach, we just keep those 4 stables working and click up as soon as we want to. Even if we want to click up sooner, we can just idle our stables and we are going to have the eco as soon as we can. So let me talk about the 2 transitions just right now. Let me save this game. Alright guys, so let's talk about a few transitions we might have here. So first one, let's play the most standard possible. Let's just keep making knights from these 4 stables and developing our eco to later click up to Imperial Age once we have the resources. We will try to not idle those stables to keep making knights, to keep supporting our allies, to keep fighting for the map, but at some point we want to get to Imperial Age. Let's go for it. So we are going to start by adding more farms. We want to have something around 30 views here on the gold. Making a lot of knights, getting more views here to the gold. We just passed 80 views mark, so it means that we could have gone for the handcart already. I just very limited on the resources and I'm not being able to do so, but as soon as I can I'm going to click on the handcart. We have already 30 views in the gold. We are making knights within the 4 stables. Since we are Huns, it means that we are making those knights very fast. Let's hurry up and get to something around 55 farms. You can see that you can still spend a lot of knights here. By developing the eco, remaking the farms, adding new ones. We are about to have 35 views on the gold. We are making knights non-stop, but these guys is still not a full approach on castle because we only have like 4 stables here. We could have even more. There we go. We have now around 55 views on the food. Oh my god, only now I'm upgrading the gold shaft mining. What we need now is to add more buildings to click up to Imperial Age. So let's get some views, and as soon as we have the stone, we have the wood, we can add university, and we can also add a monastery in order to go up. You can see guys that these tables are already starting to fill up a lot of knights here. So let's make the university and the monastery, shall we? University. We are not stopping making knights. Monastery. We are starting to have some trouble with the farms because our wood lines, guys, are fucking ugly. Huh? We should invest into new wood lines here, new number camps. That's what I'm gonna do. And let's already click up now to the next stage, guys. I want to mention that we never stop making knights. So we are now clicking up to Imperial Age, but we could have been affording to help our allies for quite some long time since we never stopped making knights. Look at the amount of knights we could have done, we just played with here during all the Castle Age. We also have a very solid eco now for the Imperial Age. I'm already transitioning some views here to the better woods, finishing the last upgrade. On the Imperial Age we might want to have more stables producing knights, spending knights, so I can just add them. Since I have all these knights wandering around here in the map, I should have just got the map control advantage. We can even switch something like 7 views from the wood to the stone and make the stone mining upgrade in order to later make the upgrade into conscription. To upgrade the conscription, sorry. And since I want to have all these stables producing, I'm still adding more. In a real game situation, we would obviously not be popped because we should probably already have used or lost already half of those knights taking fights, so let's delete those guys. That's more like it. And let's keep making knights within all the stables. So all the stables here already are queuing up knights. It's not even 35 minutes, guys, so we could already keep spamming a lot of knights during all this Castle Age, 4 stables spamming as Huns, and we would still have a 35-minute Imperial Age. So upgrading the Cavalier, upgrading the Two-Man Saw, starting to upgrade the Knights by upgrading the Plate Barden Armor, send views here to make a market. When you are playing a 4v4 Arabia, you might have those extra golds available, which are just great. You can see, guys, that we have an accident of food already. We have a huge accident of food. We needed this accident first in order to upgrade the Paladin and keep making views. But right now, if you want, you can already make some transition from the farms to the wood. Still keeping something, a minimum of 40 farmers here. Moving to the extras if you need to. Upgrade the Paladin, upgrade the last attack here. Sorry, the last attack. And we also need to hurry up here to get a trade line going up. Now that we are investing more views into the wood line, it means that we'll be able to spend the trade cards with all these views here collecting wood. So what we need to do is make more markets, always a minimum of 4. I personally like to make even more, upgrade the caravan, upgrade the guilds to be able to trade resources more effectively. We are taking here the extra golds. We are making paladins. Finishing to upgrade the paladins, right? And we can already think about what the fuck is my ally doing coming here? Motherfucker. And already thinking about spamming trade cards. So start making trade cards. Trade cards, trade cards. Send it to your allies market. If you have this accidental food, this food bank here, you can choose between adding, for example, a few light cavs to raid, or selling this accident for 17 gold probably, if you're not the first to sell, in order to make more paladins. That's what I'm gonna do. I just sold something like 3,000 food, and this will allow me to make at least 10 more paladins, which means that it's not so effective. And once you start making the trade cards, you might already be having to delete a few views, or else you are not going to have enough population space to keep making your paladins. If you want to hurry up your trade cards production, you can always do more markets. You can see here that I have like 5 trade cards queued up in each market. So adding a few more markets to distribute this queue and be able to get the trade up faster is not a bad idea. We can make the castle to make conscription. I'll have to delete these views soon. Already gonna do it with some of them. I'm trying to keep my numbers low here in order to be able to do a lot of paladins. Always selling some accident resources to make army or to get gold, especially if you do not have all the extra golds available. Here I'm only using one extra gold. If I didn't even have this, I would have to hurry and of course start already with 7 markets. Or start the trade early on. So this is basically it. You either start the trade early or you try to spend a lot of trade cards once you started it. Deleting some views, upgrading conscription, still making paladins. I have here a huge arm of paladins and already have some trade cards coming back. So basically guys, this would be the job here. Spamming paladins don't stop, like we spamming knights. At some point we would probably even want to add a few more stables, because we would probably be trading paladins a lot with our opponents. So we can even add more stables. We have all the upgrades. Getting the gold. And that's it. So that's the most basic follow-up for this strategy. Keep 4 stables, producing knights non-stop, and help your allies advance in pure age, set up some trade like I did here. In a real game situation we are probably gonna be losing those paladins, so we need some way of replacing it. Sell the accident resources that you are not using and use it to have gold in case you are not with your trade going on, or in case your enemies just kill your first trade cards, and keep going for full paladins. The idea here is if you just lose all your paladins, you can just replace them without be thinking much about resources, without worrying much about that. And that should be a reality once you start having your trade to run on properly here. There we go, we just deleted like all the paladins and we already have 37 ready to fight again, so that's the idea. You need to be able to keep, to sustain your army, you know. Now that the trade cards are delivering the gold, then I can already start making new paladins with all these stables. So by having a lot of stables, I avoid having paladins on the quill. I want to have paladins on the field, not on the quill. I do not want to have idle resources or any kind of working process here. And of course, the trade cards sustain not only the paladin production, but also sustain your own trade cards production. But remember, keep trading here the views for trade cards. This way you are still gonna have population space to make a lot of paladins. And that will basically be it. Once you can, try to clean your trade line. For example, I know that my trade cards are going by this way, right? So I can just try to clean out this trade by removing any useless building from here. I can just replace farms in other places. I can just delete buildings that I'm not using. Remake the stables if that's the case. And I'm trying to clean out the trade route. So this is very important, guys. As Hun, your trade route is pretty much clean, but with some other civs, your allies might be making so many houses on the trade line that at some point everyone's gonna have trade and your trade might start to get stuck. So that's something that you want to avoid. What? No. And there we go, make the transition. delete idols, keep the minimum number of views, try to keep a huge number of army, huge number of paladins. You are not gonna have trouble with gold because you are at some point constantly receiving gold from the trade cards like this. So you can see right now that my gold just goes up really fast because I have a lot of trade units. I have around 60 units generating gold for me, which is a lot. And I can pretty much just keep using my paladins to get fights, to get strategical positions, because if I have all these stables ready to remake them, together with Castle with Conscription, and together with a huge number of trade cards to keep my gold flowing, I will be able to play like this like forever. That's it, guys, that's the build. And of course, since you are Hun, one of the secrets of the build is you can replace your paladins faster than your enemy. So try to get numbers, try to raid, replace your paladins faster. On the very later stages you might even want to add even more stables here to keep spamming paladins as faster as you can. And that will be it. I'm gonna stop at something around 70 trade cards here, guys. Might look like an overreaction, but in my opinion, it's not. I truly want to have the ability of spend it and remake the paladins really fast. I'm overextending myself, guys. There's not much here to see. Mostly the idea here is to tell people that you have to keep paladins forever. There's no something like, oh my god, Stark, my gold is running off. No, your gold is not running off, man. You were probably not having enough trade cards built properly. And that's it. Uh-oh. I might even stop with those trade cards. 70 is more than enough. If I overboom the trade cards, I might not have population space here to keep making all the paladins I want. And there we go. Something around 40 villagers here on the food. They are all focused on allowing me to make paladins. I have a huge army of paladins, and even if I lose all this army within the blink of a second, with this eco, I should be able to remake the army as fast as possible. Already 16 paladins almost instantly because those are Huns stables, and you can go back to the fight. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you do not lose paladins within the blink of an eye like I did, because if you are not losing paladins that fast, it means that you might just start to bank up a few resources, and with those resources banked up, you can not only help your allies, but also buy, for example, other resources like stone to give it to the Spanish or something like this. And there we go. All stables here, or almost all stables here, producing within a very reasonable time a lot of paladins, and that's how we want to play with the Huns, going for the fast castle into knights. Some small variations here. Do you want to go for something like full knights? Just keep adding stables, and keep raiding. That's what's gonna change. Do you want to go fast to Imperial Age? Instead of even adding that third and fourth stable, just hold on a bit, make an university and a monastery instead. You have resources to go up and still reach Imperial Age around 27-28 minutes. very quickly on. Okay, that's it. You can just keep wasting all your army, or using it, I expect, not wasting. And you'll be able to remake it. On the very late stage of the game, you are not gonna need more than 10 views on the wood, and you can just go get back those guys on the farms, as you can see here. I'm just trying to figure out the best balance that I can give you guys. So it's something around 15 views on the wood, 45 on the food, 70 trade cards, and we'll be able to keep spamming. Even less trade cards would work, but it took me some time to make them. But it might actually be a good idea to have 70 trade cards, because in desperation you can even buy food or wood or whatever. It's better to have a small gold bank on the Bureau Age than not having it. GG, that was a bit longer than I expected. Alright, but let's talk also about another transition. This is also in a full army transition that you can use, and I like this one very much. It's the transition into knights. So how do you play with full knights? Well, it's quite simple. You are going to need, well, you can keep making archers for now, because you can upgrade the crossbows. We are just assuming that we will have the crossbows, but we could just assume that we just lost every archer and we're not going for them, and just stop making them as well, okay? We are going to need new stables. You are going to upgrade the Scale Barden armor, you are going to upgrade the bloodlines, and of course, in order to go for the full knight transition here, you want probably to play with something like 2 or 3 stables. I'm even going for 3, and we are going to need a lot more farms to be able to support those stables. So we are just remaking the farms from Feudal Age right now. We have to wait until we remake those farms. We cannot invest into new farms because we are investing a lot to remake those. But the idea here is that we are going to make a transition from wood to food in order to support the farms. So first off, let's upgrade our crossbows. We are upgrading them. Let's upgrade the wood as soon as we have the opportunity. Wait a bit. And there we go, upgrading the wood. And now we are going to send to get all the spare wood, guys, and invest into new farms. Invest into new farms, invest into new farms. Remake the farms that we had already. Invest into new farms. And once you have a lot of farms here around your TC, we have 20. We are going around 24 or 22, 24 farms. This means that we are going to have an excedent of food that we can use here to make knights. So basically that's a case in which we will upgrade it here the crossbows, but you want to transition into knights. In order for those knights to be very effective, you also want to make an upgrade here, which is the +2 armor for the knights. So you can idle your stables to already make this if you have already to take fights against archers, and then you can go for the full knights. We're just keeping something around 11 views here on the wood, or even 10, so let's even move one more here. We're just making more farms. We have around 24 farms now, which means that we can, 26, sorry, which means that we can pretty much keep the stables working, keep the TC working, and the new views we can now redirect to the wood. If you want to play with full knights for now, you just need to keep those 3 stables working. If you want, you can even invest into a 4th one, but since you are Huns, I believe that those 3 will already allow you to mass a lot of knights. I like this approach, especially when you are playing against someone who's trying to counter your archers with skirmishers, and you can just surprise the enemy by going for full knights and forcing a fight here with using both of your crossbows and knights. I also like this approach against cavalry civilizations, because if they try to outmass your archers and you are constantly making an output of knights here, it means they won't be able to take you down. So right now, we're already making the knights from all the stables. It's up for you to decide. Do you want to go for a full aggressive mode like knights and Cav Archers? So then just send more views to the gold and start making the Cav Archers. Oh no, I do not want this, Stark. I want to play full into knights. Okay, so add more views to the food, a few more to the gold, sorry. You already have views in the food, add a few more to the gold, make some transition from some of your woodcutters to the farms already, and add more stables like 4 and 5 and play with full knights. Or if you want to, after making all these bows and all these knights, you start booming to go towards the next stage, you can just add TCs. So you have pretty much a lot of options. I'm going for the full knight option here, which is just sending more views here to the gold. Keep making knights. Let's make now the gold shaft mining upgrade. As I said, let's also keep sending views to the farms. I'm making knights non-stop. I'm keeping a minimum of 10 views on the wood. I'm constantly doing more farms. Rapid flow here will allow all those farms to have extra food once we are remaking them. And now we have like 32 food. We're getting more gold. Spamming more knights, spamming more views. You can already make, for example, a monk to heal your knights, or just keep raiding your enemy non-stop, being very aggressive, and add more stables here to keep producing those knights. We are playing here with a 1 TC approach, guys, which is a very aggressive one. If you need, you can also make extra upgrades for the knights. I just did the essential ones, which are basically the +2 armor and the bloodlines, but you might also want to do the other upgrades, such as the attack, also good. And you might also want to do something like the husbandry, which is this next upgrade here, that allows you to move faster. So there you go. Keep making views. Keep making knights. We're sending more views to the gold. We want to reach something around 30 views here on the gold. That's our goal here, guys. To keep all those stables working non-stop. We have 20 right now. So basically here, guys, instead of investing to the eco, you go for full knights. That's a kind of an all-in strategy, but it's quite effective, especially in 1v1. I have seen it working many times, especially in the past. But you need to keep harassing your enemy, guys. Keep in mind that whenever you go for 1 TC strat, it means that if you do not kill your enemy, or if you are not doing enough damage, you are eventually going to fall down. We are remaking the farm, so our 10 views here on the wood are being very effective. A lot of knights being massed. Alright, 24 views on the gold. That's okay. 24 with gold shaft mining. This will allow us to keep producing knights for quite some time. And there you go, play with full knights. From this point on, you can already be thinking on making a transition here to either more farms and more views on the gold and full stables. But since we already had 6, man, I don't see even the point of doing this. We are already overflowing all the map with our knights, so it might just be a good idea here to go for the booming. Start adding more TCs, like the one I'm adding here. Keep sending out all the views to the wood. We are going to need a lot of wood here, guys, to keep remaking the farms that we have. This requires a huge investment to keep, and our eco is not great. We only have 70 views. If our enemy is booming and we haven't killed him using all these knights, we are probably already dead. So whenever you are making these strategies, you want those knights under TCs, killing villagers and so on. That's how we want this to work. We are remaking all the farms and they are now being born with 375 wood, since we have the Brevi flow. We are making now more TCs. And here guys, we can just follow the same rules that we already know. You made a TC, add 6 farms to help supporting it. As we already know, keep going for the wood. At some point you will have enough resources to add another TC. Then you just go for, oops, we are already popped here. Obviously focusing here more on the army. But let's delete the scouts. Let's delete the crossbows, they died unfortunately. We're making knights non-stop. We can go here for another TC. As I did guys in the previous game, in the previous transition, I'm also trying to make the transition here into woods that are more far away from my base. I want to do this to be able to expand towards the map. And there we go, we are playing full knights. And now we're starting to boom. The boom is like some formality if you haven't finished the game on the castle, which I do not expect you not to have done. You have to still try to make an eco to go to Bureau Age, still making views, and slowly making a transition here to have something around 110 views, for example. So we still have to boom like 30 more views until we have a full eco to keep us making army on the Pure Age non-stop. Since we are using all the gold of the map here to make knights, we might even be going for the relics, for the extras, or already thinking about making a transition into trash units, something like light cavs and pikemen, light cavs and skirmishers, halberdiers and skirmishers, or whatever, anything like this. Alright, we just made another town center, you know already what this means. But before we just passed the 80 view mark, let's make the hand cart. This view's already finished collecting this gold, that's what I'm talking about. We might start to starve here, might not be able to keep making paladins forever, or knights forever guys. This strategy has a time counter here, so if you do not finish your enemy with your knights, the gold on the map is scarce, especially in 1v1, and you are going to have some transition. As we talked about, the transition pretty much known. Go for a lot of farms to support the town centers. New views in the wood, more views here in the wood. And let's say that you just used all the gold, even your enemy gold has been eaten. You both just used all the gold possible on the map. Right now you are even losing some army. What can you do? Well, you might have to make some transition here into some trash army. So basically you can go, for example, for the light cavs to keep using your raidings. If you are going full knight, my expectation is that your enemy is trying to counter you. So if he is actually countering you with pikemen, my suggestion is for you to go for the skirmishers as your trash unit that you want to transition to. If your enemy is going for camels, my suggestion is that you go for the pikemen. So those are the combinations of knight and pikemen or knight and skirmishers. I'm assuming that he's going for pikemen, so I'm adding now more archer ranges. Remember that you already have another big pack of archer ranges, man. Maybe I shouldn't have even added these guys, so it's mostly a matter of upgrading the lead skirmisher and start making it. Going for the university because we will need the ballistics, and that's it. We already have most of the upgrades for the archers here that we did on the Castle Age, so now we can make a transition here into trash units. I advise you to make the transition before all the golds vanish, because this way you can still upgrade your army. Okay, so that's it. Let's go here for the transition into skirmishers. and light caps. Oh my god, look at this. We just lost all our knights here on the fight. We have to keep playing, we have to make a transition. So how are we going to do it? Basically, we're going to keep making farms. All the views we have here. You can go, for example, to the stones to try making some castles. You can click up to the next stage as soon as you have the building, and keep making, for example, the light caps and the skirmishers from all the buildings that we already know, and playing with skirmishers and light caps, or skirmishers and pikemen, or pikemen and halberdier. It depends on how the game goes, but usually in this kind of game, if you just use all your resources here on the castle age like we did, you might want to go and play now with full trash units. That's just a follow-up in case this game has not finished it, but my truly hope is that you guys have finished this game, because after investing that much, if you were not able to kill this guy by having that amount of knights, this guy might just be good enough to defend and might kill you. Or not. So that's it, that's the transition that we had to make into light calves and skirmishers. After we went for full knights. I just want to extend this transition a bit to show that even when the gold is running off, if it's a 1v1, you can still be massing army from a lot of buildings. Right now I'm using something like 6 stable and 7 archer range to still mass army. I'm making here a transition with my eco towards something around 70 to 90 farms, as you guys can see. So 80 farms now, a lot of light caps, a lot of skirmishers. If you used all the gold and you are having some difficulty here with the gold, you can just prioritize making the basic upgrades here once you are on the Imperial Age. So which one are the basic ones? The attack for the skirmisher and the chemistry. Oh my god, I forgot ballistic. So just to show the basic upgrades you should do, prioritize upgrading the ranged units, so ballistics, chemistry. Oh, I do not have gold star. Sell some food, bracer. Basically, right now you upgraded your skirmishers. And upgrade your archers by prioritizing its armor. So just sell more resources and go for the armor. Russar is too expensive, its gold cost is very expensive, so if you have gold, I would suggest you to use it on the halberdiers that truly make a difference, and save the gold here to make the Russars later on. So that's it. Even if you lose all your army, even if you use all the gold, you can make a transition here to some trash unit army and still playing with those guys later on. Hope you have enjoyed it. 2 very aggressive transitions for scout and archers. One full Cav Archer, other one full knights. You can even combine them with your archers, and that's it. Alright guys, let's talk here about the first transition, which is the transition into Cav Archers. To go for the Cav Archers, my suggestion is take away some views here from the farms and send to the gold. I want to have something like 16 views here on the gold, and take a few others and send to the wood. This way we are going to have around 10 views only in the farms, and those 10 villagers will allow us to do like a lot of upgrades and to help us developing a lot during the next stage. If you want to be more aggressive, you can even keep like only 8 views here. Let's do this, whatever. Let's be aggressive. And go for something like 5 ranges. Exactly. So full Cav Archers. Since we invested a lot of time on Feudal Age and we should be pressuring with all this army or massing a lot, we are going to have an awesome early castle. Not so early since we are going up late because we did a lot of army, but we are going to have a very strong castle age. So how are we going to work with this? Once we enter the castle age, we are going to upgrade our eco, upgrade our army, And that's it. Upgrading the eco. Let's upgrade here the gold shaft mining and the bow saw. So with those two upgrades we might be able here to go for very strong army. Let's send all your new views here to the wood. Upgrade the crossbowman, upgrade also the bodkin arrow. Oops. Prioritize upgrading here, guys, the bodkin arrow, if you can. We have something like 45 archers since we had all these ranges, so we might have a good number of ranged units. And of course we're going to start spamming Cav Archers now. So guys, we are spamming Cav Archers, we are making now the ballistics. We upgraded our crossbowmen with bodkin arrow and with ballistics, so pretty much we have a huge mass of crossbows to do damage to the enemy. And of course you can just keep making Cav Archers non-stop here. You can even add a few more views to the goal to have something around 20 views. And restart to collect wood to make farms. I'm not restarting this, you can see that most of the farms that we moved were just run off here. The farms that we did on the early feudal age, they will just run off around 22 to 24 minutes. And now we're just going to play with full Cav Archers. 20 views on the gold, around 20 here on the wood. Let's restart to make some farms. And this will be important for us because with those new farms we can go for upgrades that we haven't made. Right here you want to be keeping the pressure with the crossbowmen on the early castle and using the Cav Archers mostly for the raidings. So you are mostly focusing using your crossbows and using the Cav Archers for raidings. Remember, you have ballistics, you can play very well against other kind of units. We are not stopping any of those 5 rangers. We are still playing with 1 TC, and that's exactly what we want to do. Alright, we have now 12 views back on the food. We can go back to make the upgrades. If you already made this on feudal, no problem. If you made less scouts, you could have all these numbers. So doing the minimum number of scouts on feudal age is also a great tool to rush up your uptime and your upgrades as well. But it's not a must. Sometimes you might just want to have extra scouts instead of having all the upgrades soon. And there we go. We'll just keep making Cav Archers here forever. After making all these archers, and we can just slowly make the upgrades that suits us the best. At some point you might even want to transition here into siege. On this build that we are focusing here, especially for 1v1, you want to do a lot of damage. If it's around 29 minutes and we are still playing with 1 TC, so in this case you want to be doing a lot of damage with those guys around here. And that's basically it. What upgrades are we missing on our Cav Archers? We are missing the thumb ring, which will allow them to fire faster. So let's do it. It's 300 food and 250 wood. We are missing here their armors. So you could already have these armors depending on the situation or not. So I'm making out the armors. Remember to keep advancing your lumber camps, making new lumber camps, more effective ones. Might be good for your eco. Sending more views here to the wood. We're also missing the husbandry and the last upgrade from the Cav Archers. Here guys, if you want, you can go for something even more aggressive, something like 7 ranges to keep boosting up the number of Cav Archers, to keep your output, boosting your output of Cav Archers. Or you can just go for more TCs and boom here, so it's always a decision. I would just invest full here into Cav Archers. So let me go back to the gold now, after we have like 24 here on the wood. I'm going to send more views to the gold. And start making new archer ranges. We're going to have something around 7. Upgrading now the second armor. Once again, if you want to rush up these upgrades, what you have to do is do not take away so many views here from the farms when you go up. Keep at least 10 or these 12 that we are keeping here, because this will allow you to generate a lot of food and be able to make the upgrades. But this might not be going to allow you to keep spamming that much Cav Archers. So basically, guys, it's a very army-based strategy. No big secret on how to do it. 7, 8, 9. That's how it goes. You can just keep in getting gold as well. You have already upgrades, the gold shaft mining. You can just keep spamming Cav Archers within all these ranges. So that's one of the approaches here for the Huns. Whew. We need to delete because we're popped. And guys, look at this. We are popped, but we only have 65 views. So that's the amount of army you can do as a Hun. Let's delete the scouts. Let's delete the crossbowmen. Let's just pretend we already used all this army and we are only working here with our Cav Archers. And that's it. Oh my god, we are lacking some gold now because this guy is just eating all the gold. So we have some idle time. Go for the handcart at some point. And here you can already choose to start booming. So after all we did, we have like no more upgrade to make for the Cav Archers. We are playing full Castle Age of Nen. We can now go for the booming. There's not much for you to invest into here. And play with full Cav Archers, okay? So that's the idea of the 1TC strategies. If you haven't finished your enemy by now, I hope that at least you hurt his eco enough for him not to have more than 1TC working properly, because this way you can now go expand towards the map to boom. As you can see, guys, I'm also making the TCs very far away from the initial one. I'm assuming that you have map control. I'm assuming that you want to spend. I'm already thinking about making TCs towards the corners to have more map control. And that's basically it. So that was the strategy of the Scout and Archers and the transition into full Cav Archers. From here, it's just a matter of balancing your eco. Keep making Cav Archers, start booming. At some point you might want to make a transition then to Broussards, but your core units are the Cav Archers and you want to be getting ahead on the game by using these massive ship units here that can pretty much counter everything, not because of their amazing power but also because of their numbers, okay? So that's it. 3 TCs. We have 12 farms, so just let's add at least 3 more on each one of these TCs to have something around 18 farms. Right now we have 3 TCs that are self-sustainable. You keep making Cav Archer, and of course it's just a matter of going up, of keep booming until we go up. So make more farms until you have something around 30 farms. So basically you can do this by using up your wood. No big secret here, okay guys? Just what you already have seen in the previous matchups. And of course, by now we should already have finished this game, because look at the amount of army we did. If we haven't finished the game by sacrificing all our eco in order to play with more than 120 Cav Archers, we are probably in trouble. So that's it, transition 1, full Cav Archer, like 5 ranges, and that's it. Alright guys, let's go for one more build order. This one is more oriented towards the 1v1, and it's the Scout and Archers build order. Very classic build. It's one of the basic ones that I have put there on the basic build order list. But this one is especially good for the Huns for a few reasons. First, you have the faster stables. 2, you can make two very strong transitions in Castle Age for either knights or Cav Archers and try to finish the game with your transition. So first of all, let's put here 6 views on the ship. I'm exploring to find the resources. I have just found some gold. I'll send now some views to the wood. Like 3 views only, because we want to go for scouts. There are some deers here. If you can lure some deers, this can boost up the amount of scouts that you can do, or the speed with you can make your ranges. But if you can't, no problem. Especially in 1v1, you might be wanting to use your scout to get information and not for luring, so it's good to make the build order without counting on the deers, okay? We started to read the 4th ship, so let's go now and get the boar. Putting one more view here on the ship. This way we are going to have 7 views here on the ship. We are going to eat the boar and have something like 8 hunters. Alright, now that we have those 8 hunters, let's go for the meal. And let's put 4 views on the meal. If you don't have wood for the meal, start collecting the berries. If you have something around 70 or 80 wood, it means that you are going to have 100 before you finish collecting it. Just like happened right now. We'll try to go for population 21 here. Let's already bring the other boar. Bring the boar, eating it. I'm going to add more views here to the hunt. We are going to have up to 10 hunters now. Some small advice that I give you is keep your ship closer on the TC on the Dark Age. Micro your villagers on the wood, so each one of those views stay on one specific wood. Now that we finished putting the more views on the food and have 10 hunters and 4 foragers, I'm going to send all the other views here to the wood. I'm already going to target my hunters in 2 groups of 5 views to go for the ship. If you were luring, you can already target some of your hunters to the lure, or already make this distribution a bit different. It doesn't matter. What truly matters, honestly, is to keep 14 views here on the food. Right now we have 14 views on the food, 5 views on this wood. I'm going to send views here to this other wood here on the back. Make the loom. We need 4 more villagers to go here because we want to have something around 10 villagers and 2 on each wood. So I'm selecting 2 views here and sending, 2 more and sending. I'm making sure that the views I'm sending are not hurt, so in case I get raided or attacked, it minimizes the chance of getting attacked. I'm gonna start making now a barracks, and I want to talk about some defensive tools that you can use. First one, palisade wall. If you are getting attacked by a Drush, just do something like this. A few palisades here to deny the access of the enemy to your resources. I see many players struggling, but the more you practice, more fast you are going to drop on those palisades and protect your resources. Here I'm not even completing them because I might just delete them later to get the wood back or a part of this wood back. But if you're not so confident on it, there's no problem. You can just go and make the full palisades, okay? So basically guys, this is a palisade wall. This can be useful against a Drush, against militia. If the enemy tries to force you here on any of those places that you put the palisades, like he's trying to force you on this wood, what you do is just complete the palisade. If he still insists in breaking it, you eventually go and repair a bit. So that's how you deal with that. So this is how your eco should look. We have all these views that just finished eating the ship, and we need to start making farms as soon as we can here, just right after the stable. So let's go here, drop a stable, make the double bit axe, and make the horse collar. Dropping the stable, horse collar, double bit axe, villagers here to the stagglers, and as soon as we have the resources, we are going to make scouts and of course the farms. We already have some wood, so we can already drop the farms, like I'm doing here. Making scouts and dropping farms. We are just going to keep dropping farms with those views that are here around the TC. We are not gonna bank wood here. Alright, 11 minutes, we already have 3. With this we can fight some of the enemy drushes, especially if the enemy has lost some militia doing something or not, or hurt getting too close to the TC. We have now 12 views on the food, guys. We are going up to 14, so right now we have 14. And let's make a small pause here. A small pause break because we have 14 views on the food. So right now you should be able to deal with enemy drushes with 4 scouts. So if your enemy has 3 militias and an eagle, for example, you are pretty much going to overpower him. You can already get rid of those palisades. You see that we have 83 wood. Actually we have a bit more than that, 97, because we just dropped some wood here. Let's just delete all those palisades to see the wood returning. Alright, 50 wood returned. So if you want to not complete the palisades, you are just going to win like an extra farm. Not a big deal, so if you just want to complete those small walls, no problem as well. And right here you can already choose to make any transition like full scouts, scout skirmishers, scout and archers, play to go for scout and unique unit or whatever. But here we are going to focus on scout and archers, and we are going to start sending the next views here to the gold. So all the next views are going to be sent here to the gold. If we want, we can keep making scouts. Now that we have 14 views on the food, we can keep the TC working with 6 of those views, and we can keep the stable eventually doing a few scouts as well. I'm going to send the view forward and start collecting, start to build an archer range. Keep making scouts. And keep sending views here to the gold. There we go. So what's the idea here? The villagers that we made are just able to keep good production here of scouts. We are now sending views to the gold because we are going to need gold to be able to produce archers. And right after this range we are going for a second one. We can already think about some transitions, like transitioning some of the views that are here in the berries to the farms. And of course, you need to analyze the situation. How is your fight? How are you fighting your matchup? Scout war or whatever? Do you need some spearmen? Do you need to stop making scouts to make spearmen, or already start with something else? We're now dropping the second archer range. We're going for the blacksmith. I'm gonna put a few more views on the gold until we have 8 here. This will allow us to go up if we want. Alright, so right here guys, we are making archers within 2 archer ranges. We have something around 10 scouts, and there's a few more decisions for you to take on this point of the game. I'm going back to the stagglers, and I'm going to talk about those few extra decisions that you can make. First decision, do you want to keep forcing on the feudal age? If you do want to keep making scouts and archers and force a game on feudal age, you might just want to add all your next views, at least your 6 others, to the food. So this way you are going to have extra food for all the upgrades, extra food for keep making scouts and views non-stop and still be able to afford the upgrades. And even if you go for something like 22 views on the food, you can later support, you can already add a second stable soon and support some build order of full feudal age. That's one of the options you have right here. The other, guys, is to keep massing archers until you go up to the castle age, and I obviously going for the second one. We already have 8 views here collecting the gold. I'm going to send more views now to the gold, and I will start eating. I'm going to do a second mining camp. I know that I do not have to remake my farms, and I'm going to focus here on dropping more ranges and doing even more archers. I can do this one because I'm Huns, second because I do not have to invest into houses. I can just keep escalating my archer numbers, and I know that I won't be needing to make any upgrade from this point on. It's a real game situation. You might have already traded all those scouts against your enemy and not even have more scouts left, or you might still have all your scouts left. So what upgrades to do? Does it worth upgrading the scout or not? There are no easy answers for this question. It's basically, do I need this? If you need, you go for the upgrades. If you don't need, you don't go for. You have to start already taking those small decisions, and most of it you can get by playing and watching some games as well. So let's go now for the gold. Making here the mining camp. Keep making archers. Going now for another archer range. We will have with these 10 views here collecting gold. We are already starting now, guys, to mass up a lot of food because we stopped making the scouts. I'm going to make the wheelbarrow. And after the wheelbarrow, I'm already going to quill up some more views here to the gold. So we have 14 views on the food. Another suggestion here is for you to just keeping those farms here. Keep 14 on the food. This will accelerate your uptime. I have seen players going for only 12 views, for example, on the farms, and massing and deciding to mass up more archers, going for like 4 rangers early on, and delaying a bit their feudal age time, their castle age time. Is this bad? I don't think so. It worked for them, so there's always different builds, there are always different approaches. I'm just trying to make one so that you can keep it. Remember, we have 14 here on the food, 8 on the first mining camp, we did 3 more. We are also going to do 3 more here. We are doing archers here non-stop. I'm already going to drop my 4th archer range, so yes, in this build I want to play with 4 archer ranges. If you want to play with the archers on the feudal, in case you need to use them, go for the fletching. This is a very aggressive build order, considering how many scouts we have and how many archers we are doing. Let's even show the amounts here. We can pretty much pick fights against most feudal age armies. Alright guys, so right now we have just passed to to the 14 villager mark here on the gold. My advice here is to now keep sending views to the wood. We only have 11. Let's keep sending views to the wood. Make a new lumber camp if needed, like I'm doing here. We have 6 views on each wood. Let's make a few more. Remember guys, oh Stark, you're just going to up soon because you didn't do any upgrades. I'm gonna prove you that's not how it works, and I will prove it to you by making the upgrades that I didn't do. I'm going to make here the fletching, I'm going to make here the gold mining upgrade, and I'll keep sending views here to the wood. Keep making archers on all the archer ranges. We'll have those archers with the fletching. Make here a second lumber camp. So this guys is basically a strategy where you want to mass a lot of archers here. If you want to go up soon, you can skip those upgrades that I did. You can make less scouts. So for example, let's say that you just wanted to make the initial 4 here to deal with the Drush. You would be already on Castle Age by now. So it always depends on within how much minutes you go, with how much army you do, how much upgrades you do. It always has its relation. And of course we'll keep making archers here from all those ranges. We have right now 16 views here on the wood. Our farms might start to run off here. And here we are going to talk about the transitions. So to talk about the transitions, I want to save the game right here, because there are like 2 that work a lot in this scenario and you guys might enjoy.